when I walk into a community and I see American flags all over the community, and I suddenly feel unsafe.
There is not a Black America and a white America and Latino America and Asian America. There's the United States of America.
Something happened on live television that most people weren't expecting. A host who built her entire career around speaking for the marginalized said something about the American flag, and it stopped the country cold. Not because it was complicated, because it wasn't. It was a single sentence, a confession, really. And the moment it landed, it set off a chain reaction that pulled in one of the sharpest political minds in media, someone who had no interest in being polite about it. What followed wasn't a debate, it was a dismantling, and the data that came with it made the moment even harder to ignore.
I said this on this show many years ago, because this is my 10th year on the show, and I said there are times when I walk into a community and I see American flags all over the community, and I suddenly feel unsafe because there is a section of this country that has co-opted the American flag, and they equate being an American or an American flag with white supremacy.
That exchange didn't happen in a vacuum. It landed on top of a mountain of polling data that told a very different story from the one being broadcast on daytime television every morning. The groups being spoken for, the communities being claimed as an audience, they were sending back a clear and consistent message. And it was not the one the show was built around. The economic picture told the same story. Home ownership rising, wealth being built, real progress being made by real people, none of which fit the narrative that had been holding prime daytime real estate for years. And that gap between the story being told and the reality being lived was exactly what the next moment was about to expose.
But a poll last year asked, if America is the greatest country in the world, more blacks and Hispanic Americans agreed with that than the white progressives. It asked if racism is built into our society. White progressives agreed with that at higher levels than black and Hispanic people. It asked if government should increase border security. Same result. Hispanic Americans are less okay with illegal immigration than whitey. The votes are in. They don't want your pity.
What came next hit even harder, because it wasn't about policy. It wasn't about party lines. It was about something far more basic. The assumption that certain voters can't think for themselves, that their choices belong to someone else, that their minds are not their own. Critics said this wasn't commentary, it was condescension dressed up in concern, and the immediate pushback, grounded in recent electoral history, exposed the flaw in that logic before the segment had even finished. The women being dismissed had already made history, twice. And no amount of daytime theorizing could change.
I think that's bad. The View's co-host, Sunny Hostin, says, hold my beer, and is literally claiming Republican women can't think for themselves.
I think that women, white women in particular, want to protect this patriarchy here because it's to their benefit. Yeah. They want to make sure that their husbands do well. They want to make sure that their sons do well. They want to make sure that their children do well. And they want to make sure that they do well. Most of the women in some of these studies are married white women, and they do fall in line with what their husbands are doing.
So first of all, Judge, thank you for protecting the patriarchy.
Yes.
On behalf of all men, we really appreciate that.
You know what's stunning? I love it when a woman says she knows how other women think, okay? And I hate it when they actually do a divide like that. But you know, if Sunny Hostin thinks that we're all protecting white men and the white patriarchy and that we can't think for ourselves, I wonder why it is that she is capable of thinking for herself. But I'm not going to go there. The amazing thing is you have to wonder, well, then how did Barack Obama get elected twice? So I guess those white women, just when they see a black person who's qualified, I mean, they clearly elected Barack Obama. It didn't happen without white women. So right there is the failure of her whole theory.
The ratings numbers were not abstract. They were a verdict. Millions of viewers had quietly made a decision about what they were and weren't willing to watch anymore. A significant pay cut, canceled projects, a steady erosion of an audience that had once been loyal. And all of it was happening while the on-screen commentary kept moving further from the concerns of the people it claimed to represent. Critics weren't surprised. They'd been watching the drift for years, but the scale of it, confirmed in the numbers, gave the criticism a weight that couldn't be argued away. And then came a moment where the same host who had been questioning America's direction suddenly acknowledged what losing America's position would actually cost the world.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say in The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist. She injected skin color into a fairly generic behavior seen in all spouses, regardless of skin color. People marry, they listen to each other, they have something in common with them, they share their political views. She just didn't want to upset her husband by saying her husband makes her do everything.
Here is where the story gets genuinely complicated, because the argument being made wasn't wrong on its face. The global consequences of American decline are real. Critics acknowledge that, but the contradiction sat right underneath it, because the same voice describing the cost of a weakened America had spent considerable airtime describing that America as a place of fear, systemic failure, and broken promise. You can't hold both of those positions at the same time and expect the audience to keep nodding along. And that is precisely the tension that the next perspective was built to address.
If America is not the #1 global power, it's not going to be Denmark. It's going to be communist China, a country that right now the government is imprisoning Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps. It is a deeply racist government. It's a human rights violating government. It is a government that if they are the leader of the free world, we are not a free world the way that we are right now.
The notion of patriotism and the notion of America and the American flag has been co-opted by the right as if they are true patriots.
Nearly 1 billion people. That number deserves a moment of silence, because it is the single most powerful rebuttal to a decade of daytime despair. When that many human beings, from every corner of the planet, from countries with genuine oppression, genuine poverty, genuine danger, look at America and say, that is where I want to go, the conversation about whether this country is worth defending answers itself. The immigrants who had spoken privately to Maher over the years weren't reciting talking points. They were telling the truth from lived experience. And that truth cut straight through the performance of outrage that had become the show's daily format.
Blind hatred of America is just as blinkered as blind love. And we Americans should really get some perspective about where we live. Watching the go down in Afghanistan, I was reminded lately of every conversation I've ever had with an immigrant, almost all of which, if we got to really talking, included the notion, oh, you people have no idea. All you do is bitch about and badmouth your own country, but if you knew about the country I came from, you'd stop on your own. Now, right? I have never been a rah-rah America type, and in fact have often made fun of Republicans in the past for being overly sentimental, because they're the ones who tear up at military flyovers and get a boner when the governor of South Dakota rides into a biker rally dressed like a painting of Teddy Roosevelt. John Boehner used to cry like weep. At the drop of a hat, if anything reminded him of what a star-spangled miracle this country is. If there was a little flag in his club sandwich, he'd lose it.
This is where the language debate became something worth paying attention to, because what looked like a simple disagreement over a single word was actually something much bigger. It was a window into how modern political discourse had started eating itself, where the argument was no longer about substance, but about which terms were permitted, which phrases had been flagged, and who got to decide the vocabulary rules. Critics said this was the moment the intellectual bankruptcy of the daytime format showed itself most clearly. When a word becomes more important than the idea behind it, the conversation has already collapsed, and what came next pulled the discussion back to the one idea that cuts through all of it.
And is it possible for a country to lose itself so much that leaving it is justified? Yes, but we're not there yet. Not by a long shot. And we don't need quitters. We need people who will stay and fix it. Maybe the problem isn't that America isn't worth defending. Maybe the problem is that lots of people today are entitled whiners who have no perspective and no idea how good they have it. "59% of self-identified liberals say there have been times when they considered leaving America for good, like after NBC canceled The West Wing." I don't get it. You want so badly for every immigrant to come to this country and experience the good life, but somehow it's so terrible you want to leave? And I see conservatives in Texas are talking secession again. They have 2 bumper stickers in that state. America, love it or leave it, and we're leaving it. Just like there's a long list of liberal celebrities who swear they'll go if a Republican is elected, and no one ever does. Miley Cyrus once said, "I am moving if Trump is my president. I don't say things I don't mean." Here she is looking miserable, having to endure America at the Grammys last Sunday.
One nation. Not several nations sharing a zip code. Not a country carved into competing anthems and parallel histories that never touch. One. Critics called this the sentence that the modern progressive media machine had been quietly abandoning for years, replaced by a framework of separation that dressed itself up as inclusion. A professor at a historically black university had said it plainly, and the echo of a voice from 60 years ago, the voice that defined what unity actually looked like, made the point impossible to dismiss, because the alternative isn't diversity. The alternative is fracture, and most Americans, regardless of background, already understand that.
Different question, but it struck me that in the first segment you used the term woke, and you said that woke is what was sort of ruining everything. And I know that you're...
No, I didn't say ruining everything. I said that's why Trump could get reelected.
That's why Trump could get reelected.
Yeah.
So the term woke has been, in my view, co-opted by the right and weaponized and bastardized. And so I was surprised to hear you use the term, because historically, as you know, because I think you're quite brilliant, that woke is a word used by the black community to note that we must be aware of social injustices.
But words
and so
migrate.
why is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, and originally that was absolutely a great thing. Alert to injustice. Who's not for that? But words do migrate. Now, I'll use any term you want.
Okay.
Because maybe that is a word that's triggering, and so let's not use that word. I don't know, want to call it the super far left, but don't tell me the left
Maybe the super far right.
A mental health professional at one of the most prestigious universities in the country, advising millions of people to cut their own families out of their lives over a ballot cast in a voting booth. The data that followed that moment was sobering. Tens of millions of American relationships, strained or broken, not by genuine harm, but by political identity. And the irony that daytime television, positioned as the voice of empathy and connection, had spent years amplifying exactly that kind of division, was not lost on anyone paying attention. But then came the story that reframed everything. A story about a snowstorm, a stuck car, and a neighbor who didn't ask who anyone voted for before showing up to...
Not a black America and a white America and Latino America and Asian America. There's the United States of America.
Oh yeah, that guy. Timothy Askew, a professor at Clark Atlanta University, wrote an entire book about Lift Every Voice and Sing. And he said, to sing the black national anthem suggests that black people are separatists and want to have their own nation. This means that everything Martin Luther King Jr. believed about being one nation gets thrown out the window. Thanks, Professor. You'll be hearing from Whoopi. But he's right. If we have 2 anthems, why not 3 or 5? Why not a woman's anthem, a Latino anthem, a trans, indigenous peoples, and Asian Pacific Islander anthem? Because I'm not dealing with you, I'm not speaking to you, is not a way you can run a country. And most people of all backgrounds understand that already and don't even want to try to do it that way. I'm not out of step. Believing in separate but equal, that's out of step. By 67 years.
Class, not race. That reframe sounds simple. It isn't, because it requires dismantling years of political infrastructure built around identity sorting. The idea that every voter belongs to a fixed category with fixed loyalties and a fixed set of grievances. The research backed it up. The election results backed it up. And the widening gap between college-educated and non-college voters had become the defining fault line of modern American politics, one that no amount of daytime commentary about systemic identity had managed to close. In fact, critics argued it had made it wider. And that set up the final argument, the one about a flag and what it actually means to claim it.
A chief psychiatric resident at Yale University, Amanda Calhoun, recently told Joy Reid it's okay to cut off family members if they voted for Trump and tell them, I'm not going to be around you this holiday. Oh, how pure. It's like not letting certain people sit with you on the bus. She also said that it shouldn't be automatic that family members think they're entitled to your time. She said that's just a societal norm. Family. Who do they think they are? Family? I mean, think about that. A mental health professional advising people to isolate during the holidays. And don't forget to drink too much and put on weight. And this Thanksgiving, before the big meal, remember to take turns saying what you're hateful about. You know who I really wouldn't want to have Thanksgiving dinner with? This overly educated, i.e. extremely stupid, ivory tower academic. But I would, because if we ever want this nation to heal, this is what we have to do. Force ourselves to reach out and find out why someone feels the way they do and make the choices they make without prejudging them a monster. And they must do the same for you.
The flag doesn't belong to any one movement. That is the oldest American argument there is, and also the most unfinished. The activists who changed this country didn't surrender the symbol of it. They grabbed it back. They wore it. They marched under it. They said, "This is ours too," and that sentence carried more power than any critique of the country ever could. The data coming out of The View reflected what happens when that message gets abandoned in favor of daily outrage. Viewers leaving, advertisers recalculating, colleagues quietly pushing back, producers rethinking the entire formula, and a political party watching its own coalition drift away, not because America changed, but because the story being told about America stopped matching the one people were actually living. The country is watching, and it has already started drawing its own conclusions.